Good evening and welcome to my weekly recap here for SPY and trade plan for next week. Trying to get through a lot of these trades here real quick over the last call it 8 trading days or so. Um, Last Friday I had these 29 November 310 puts here I took at 145, held over the weekend. I was expecting maybe some negative news out of China or something to happen during the weekend that would push us lower. Well, we did go lower, just not very far, very fast. So took those off at 153. Looked like we were going to have a little bit of a breakdown here. So I tried the 29 November 311s at 187. It did work out here for a moment, and then a big buyer stepped up on the tape here and put in this big, huge bullish engulfing bar. Of course, I didn't wait that long to find out it was going to be a bullish engulfing bar. I went ahead and I dumped those here for a very, very small gain right near the lows. Had to go to an appointment, didn't really do anything else Monday. Tuesday, tried to chase this gap up here. At least I waited until the gap filled. I took these 312 calls here at 118. Very small position, a very tight stop. Dumped at 115. This wasn't an official setup or a trigger that I like to use, so it was a low quality trade. So therefore, low position, tight stop. It's not a high quality trade. I'm not going to put a lot of money into it and sit and wait. So took that little small loss, had a nice V reversal here. This, however, was a confirmed trigger, very nice setup. So I did throw a good amount of money behind this one. Got these 312 calls here at 98, took some off up here at 135. The rest stopped me out down here just to break even. Of course, had I held for a little bit longer, it did go back up here, I think to around 137, maybe 140, but still, next day rolled over and it would have just been, worthless anyways. I had a gap down. This kind of trade I will take 100% of the time. This trade from the trigger, SPY price action always goes up. Now, sometimes that does not translate into the calls going up, which is kind of what happened in this case. Went a little bit out of the money, took these 312 calls here at 71. I actually went for, I believe it was the end of the week, 312s here at 71. Wanted to hold them overnight for a couple of days and for a possible run into Friday. So anyways, had a false breakdown. I was very patient. I waited for it to start coming back up. Added in here at 65, worked my average down a little bit, bought a couple more on the way up here, and it looked like I was good to go. This at the time was a very big green candle, nice 3 advancing soldiers kind of pattern. Looked like it was going to pop up here. I was expecting a bull flag and then a rip up through this gap and prior day's range. Of course, all the planning and thinking doesn't mean anything if price action doesn't actually do that. So anyways, had some news come out. I believe the Fed was speaking, Trump was having his speech, and those took me out here 41, actually knocked me out of a lot of my swing positions. And yeah, so took some took some damage there that day. Had to go for a walk, just stepped out, dipped my toes in the sand, came back, calm, collected, refocused, and caught another V bottom here. Just started to work my way back, taking that drawdown off the sheets. Took these 310 calls here at 90 cents, reduced some on the immediate pop here about 10 minutes later at 110, took some more off at 120 as I was approaching my target, which was the 8 EMA. Took some off at 120. Once it rolled over and broke back below $1, I said, you know what, let me just take it off, take the rest of this off of here, and I'll sit and wait for another setup tomorrow, most likely. Well, I didn't wait till the next day. It looked like we are going to have a lower high in relation to this breakdown. So I tried these 310 puts here for a breakdown. I thought it was going to come down and start rolling over and test the recent low. That was not the case. Popped up and closed at least near the high of this breakdown level. So I said, if the robots really want to trap some people, the best way for them to do it is to gap it up the next day. That just triggered me to get out of that position. So anyways, price action came down the next day, tested the 8 EMA, thought I'd be able to take it overnight. Took these 311 calls here at 51. Once it failed to hold, I dumped them right back out for basically a nothing gain, nothing loss, just paid some commissions on it. It is what it is. On this dip right here, had a little bit of a retest of this prior low, so I took a little bit of a lotto here, 29 November 315s. Since my last lotto, well, that was an easy $500 loss just to let it go. Anyways, got these here at 10 cents and just kind of held on to them for a few days. I think they sold out, excuse me, on Monday. I wasn't even watching the market. I was traveling. Those got me out here at 21. A nice little gain. Now into the end of the day here on Thursday, I took another little small scalp here for nickel. Nothing I'm proud of. Just had a trigger. Thought it'd be a cute little trade. quick $100. Hey, whatever. Made it and got out of the way. Of course, holding it overnight would have worked tremendously well. Next day, I took these 311.5s here at 61. A little bit of a breakdown of that opening range at 0.425, excuse me, for a small loss, and just waited. And then caught another V bottom here. I took these 6 December 312s here, had a very beautiful trigger off of the 8 EMA. Went ahead, went out in the future, and played for basically a new high. Anyways, got in here at 153, reduced some here into the afternoon here at 175, held the rest overnight, and just like those 315s, those triggered me out here Monday at 250 on this continuation higher. I wish I would have been watching the market and able to cancel that order, because I think they went up to like 3 or 4 per contract, something like that, 420, 430 somewhere. Anyways, would have been a tremendous hold here for Thanksgiving. So yeah, it is what it is. Maybe it was FOMO or whatever here on Tuesday. Had a little bit of extra time in the morning, so tried these 315 calls here at 43. They bottom ticked me out here. I was just anxious, wanted to get out. I had to, had some other stuff to do. Obviously, it's Thanksgiving. Want to spend some time with the family, so should have just left it alone. But anyways, dumped me out here at 34. As you can see, these went 40 cents in the money and more than doubled on the way up there. So missed opportunity there. It is what it is. Friday didn't do anything. So overall, pretty good last 2 weeks, and just winding the year down, and we'll see what happens into the end of this year. What I will be looking for over the next few days is a continued pullback here to the 8 EMA, very much like what happened here. Price action is very similar. You come down, start to put in what looks like an H sell setup, and then it comes down, breaks below the 8 EMA, reclaims it, and rips to a new high. So we'll see if that happens again. If it does, this is what I'm looking at. 315 calls about 2 weeks in the future. If it comes down further to the 21, I'll look at 310s. If it comes down to the 50 SMA, I'll take these 305s. 200 SMA way down here, I will look for some out of the money calls here, about 4 weeks, maybe a little bit further in the future, depends on what the price is, depends on how implied volatility is priced into the options, all that good stuff. So we'll see if that does actually happen in the near future. So it's pretty much the end of the month. November is finished. We did gap up. Couldn't tell you how many gap up months we've had. Most recent one you can see is here very clearly is April, gapped up, and then the next month sold all the way off back down to this blue line, which happens to be the monthly ADMA. Last time, right after that, we had a gap up here in July, sold off all of August, pierced that AEMA again. So maybe that does happen. Did take a little bit of a small put position here over the weekend, so we'll see if that does start to pull in. But right now, price action is still very strong. Even if it does start to sell off into the end of December, there's no question about this. It's putting in higher lows and higher highs all the time. Every time frame, no matter what you look at, it's still very, very bullish. Overextended, yes. Some names, and the vast majority of names, are overvalued, yes. Are institutional investors putting money to work here? Most likely not. Are big fund managers buying stocks up here? Probably not. So just the sheer lack of demand, lack of buying pressure from big money is probably going to be weight on the market. So I'm not going to look to take any of these swings over here at these levels too heavy. I'm just going to continue to trade my strategy, trade my plans, because that's what has been working. Onto the daily time frame down here a little bit further. Nothing really scary about this day, other than the fact that there was a lot of volume for the half a day after Thanksgiving. If I go over here to futures, the bars here are just massive for a holiday. I mean, that closing bar right here at 12:30, 300,000 contracts on the pretty much on the closing bar, is just massive for any day, let alone a half a day of the market. So something happened on Thursday, or excuse me, on Friday. For whatever reason, a lot of money was selling futures, so could potentially expect a gap down here on Monday once the market opens. If that does occur, I'm going to take my my counter gap trade just like I would any other day. So we'll see what happens with that into next week. We'll also touch on some transports, because transports were looking very strong. They looked like they had put in a bull flag breakout. You can see I had a little drawing right here. Haven't really updated here recently. But now you have something similar to that where it broke a pattern. It's now coming back to retest the moving averages that I use for my purposes. If it starts to fail through those, this bull flag pattern is probably going to be null and void, and it's going to come back down to at least 191.5, maybe 190-ish, 190.5, somewhere around there, and retest the 50 SMA. So overall, transports are kind of in the top range of the recent zone, and in order to get out of here and imply that we do have momentum to go higher, I'd say it needs to get over 200 and hold above it. Triple Qs, technology, have broken above another pattern here, and actually I'm just going to take that off of there. This usually would be considered a bearish, or excuse me, a bullish harami on the way down if you got a big red bar down and a green bar inside. This one's kind of weird, so it's I don't know, an overbought bearish harami, a confirmation would be a move below 205. In my opinion, it would need to open above there and break on the way down. A gap below kind of skews the risk reward outside of the bear's favor, so a gap down may just be an indication of some more consolidation, kind of like what's going on over here. If we go and look at Apple, Microsoft, Intel, AMD, a lot of the big name tech stocks that are in the Qs, Amazon is finally coming off a bottom. They're all starting to show at least some strength, and unless there's huge profit taking into the end of the year, they're going to be, I don't know what you want to call it, supported up here or propped up, if you will. But anyways, overall the market does look fairly strong. I also want to touch on XLF. Did break out of the nice bull flag I had noted here a couple weeks ago, shared with you guys in the trade crew chat room. Still holding some calls here, looking for an overall move above this 30.5 level, 30-35 area, and continuation up to the flag target, which was about 31. So the major sectors of the market still showing strength to me, albeit some of these names are very overextended and there's not going to be a lot of big money being put to work up here. If the robots continue to do their job, then we're going to continue higher. If someone pulls the plug or reverses those robots, will start to come down. So we'll see what happens going into next week. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down below. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend, enjoyed some time with your family. Good luck on Monday.